Right now, Iran just went dark. They've turned off their cameras. Israel's not going to put up with it. They're not going to put up with it. What I have said repeatedly over and over again is going to happen. Israel is going to strike Iran, and then there's retaliation upon Israel. And here are the details. Some of the details. I'm not going to waste your time. Israel is attacked, specifically Jerusalem. It's fueled by Islam, specifically the people of the prince, the Antichrist. It'll be a war for territory, namely, mainly Jerusalem. It's going to be a war for territory, especially for Jerusalem. The United States betrays and turns her back on Israel. This is prophecies, folks, that I've given. This right here is a word. We do not repel the enemy, nor we don't even attack the enemy. We're basically doing another Afghan repeat. I had talked about this years before we did Afghanistan last year. Okay? This I'm not just saying this just now. This is exactly what we're going to do. In fact, I wrote it in the graph. I said in the graph, we're likely going to take refugees. And I believe that's all we're going to do. We are not going to repel the enemy. Okay? Other matters regarding this war, including Islamic military tactics, the fate of Jerusalem residents, duration of the war, all have been previously discussed in depth on this channel. This is also the beginning of when I've also said we're going to be engaged in military conflict overseas. And we are already kind of ramping that up with certain drills and exercises that we're doing both with Taiwan and Japan, and we were doing one previously with Israel. We're already ramping up, folks. I had never heard anybody, this one comes from Danny Davis, I had never heard anybody say, did I say the word anybody? Anybody say that gas prices would be at $7 a gallon. Never, but I brought Danny Davis again, my former pastor. I brought him on, we did a television show, 3 episodes together. When it came to the shortages and gas prices, weren't they somewhere there, they were skyrocketing at some point?
I remember at the end of my vision, now you have to realize I'm telling people this back in 1978, but I knew that gas somehow during the beginnings of what I saw happen, that gas prices would be hovering between $7 and $8.
That's crazy. Even today, it just doesn't.
Yeah,
I mean,
gas was 60 cents or something like that back then, and I remember that stuck out in my mind when I came out of that vision that gas prices would be across America between $7 and $8.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, so between $7 and $8 when these things began to happen, and so. Mm-hmm. I feel like that is kind of a little bit of a timeline to what people need to be looking toward, And
I later put it together, and it never clicked before. In fact, I want to tell you something, folks. This time that I've been going through revelation has been coming via pain. I'll put that right up there. I have been seeing things as God told me a long time ago. The closer we would get, the clearer I would see. And it makes sense. John Paul Jackson said, he mentioned something. In fact, I believe I have the clip.
But one day it is going to happen, and when that takes place and those missiles hit Iran, there's going to be a huge growth of anti-Semitism, and everybody's going to blame Israel on the price of gasoline.
So I ask you, why are we going to blame Israel for gas prices when today we are blaming Russia for gas prices? Aren't we? Right, we're blaming Russia for gas prices. So why would we blame Israel for gas prices? Because of the war. The war that we're very close to. Again, Israel, folks, she's weeks, if not days away bombing Iran. She's not going to tarry. So it clicked with me when I thought, why in the world are we going to be blaming Israel for gas prices? Well, if there's going to be war over there too, we are going to blame Israel for gas prices. We're also going, and it's going to be coming from the administration, just like, and you're going to find this. As I've talked about before, as the genocide and the details of the war that I've given that's going to happen over there in Israel start to waver away and Israel isn't being killed off, because she's going to go out in the wilderness, folks. She's going to be scattered among the nations until Jesus comes. When it fails that they're not going to be able to kill off all the Jews because other nations will help and take in refugees, just like we'll take some, there's going to be anti-Semitism setting in. And John Paul Jackson saw that. He said there'll be anti-Semitism. I'm going to tell you that's simply because of the hatred that's going to be stirred up against us. Okay? So it's going to be coming over here as well. And the hatred, I might as well tell you, is I call these the 2 R's. It will be against anybody religious. We're talking Jew and Christian and Republican. These are the 2 R's. I call them the 2 R's. You can expect serious hatred, serious persecution, serious conflict, to the point of what we've already been having a taste of. Churches are going to get it. I am so sorry that I'm even saying this. I never saw this until recent years. I didn't know that it would happen before First Trumpet. To the point of martyrdom. Eventual martyrdom of. And it won't just be because it's religious. It's also going to happen upon people that are Republicans. There's going to be a separation, folks. Another more deadly virus is unleashed. This time it is real. We are unprepared. Danny Davis, he saw it. John Paul Jackson, which I've put on this channel before, he saw it. Chris Reed, and I did a video here recently showing you how he said he saw it too. And apparently it's this summer, according to Chris Reed. The economy is going to tank. Major shortages. Basic necessities impossible to find. Basic. People, you think you've seen shortages. We have not seen. We're talking about going into stores where everything is gone. That's what I mean. Everything is gone. Now, Danny Davis saw that. I give credit to where credit's due, folks. Some of you gleaners who watch this channel, I got about 100. You guys need to be careful. The president's going to impose his will upon the people. This is one of my very first prophecies. And already we are seeing how that can be possible. I've never seen such craziness in the last couple years via this administration that everybody believes is going to be tossed out. This just all leads into this all leads into prophecy. It's all prophecy. We're now going right into it with this administration. It's not going to be another administration. I'll get to that in a second. The president's going to impose his will upon the people. Widespread protests, rioting, anarchy, like you have never seen. We have never seen this. The quake strikes America. It is divided. I need you to hear this because I never understood this, and I'm going to try. I finally believe now. I finally can make sense of this. Anytime I ever came across something that I couldn't put my finger on, I always knew it meant I wasn't there. Obviously, if I didn't have a confirmation in my spirit, I always thought, well, then this means something else is going to happen, or I don't have it quite right, and I didn't. When I first came to God, when I came back to God about 18, 19 years ago, I had a God dream, my first God dream. That's what I meant to say. My first God dream. I'd fallen away for a while. Anyway, I had a God dream, and it was a city on the West Coast, and it was being sucked under by the ocean, and it was going like this, and it was going down and down, and then it was gone, and all that was left was this, and the dream ended. It was my first God dream. It was very traumatic to me, because that's the way dreams that come from God are. They're traumatic. About a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so I had this dream, and I'm on the West Coast. And I'm looking, and it's a God dream. All it is I am seeing waves that are so high, it doesn't make any sense to me. In the dream, I'm looking at these waves. They're skyscraper height. They didn't make any sense. So I'm not going to tell you something that I can't even rationalize. I'm not going to say, I'm here to tell you that God gave me a dream, and here's the dream, and look, they were as high as skyscrapers. It sounded ludicrous to me until...
Imagine this. A nuclear bomb traveling through the sea undetected. It explodes, setting off a chain of radioactive waves, kicking off a tsunami that could sweep an entire city, leaving it uninhabitable for decades. This scenario is no longer just a figment of imagination. Russia is building this superweapon as we speak. It is called the Poseidon II M39 torpedo. Reports say Russia is planning to carry out different tests of this missile this year. Russian President Vladimir Putin has asked for an update at key stages. At least 3 submarines tweaked to carry this torpedo are already undergoing tests in the Arctic. This is where Russia is said to be building a major military presence. The Arctic was once covered with ice, hence not navigable. But the melting ice now opens up a shipping route for Russia, one that could connect Europe to Asia. Reports say Putin wants to deploy the Poseidon in the Arctic by the summer of 2022.
Poseidon is an unmanned drone in the shape of a torpedo that can be loaded onto and launched by a submarine. A Poseidon drone could also remain dormant in a box on the ocean floor, just waiting for a signal to come back to life before carrying out its apocalyptic attack, like a Reaper from Mass Effect. Either way, once a Poseidon is armed and activated, it can have a range of 10,000 kilometers, and it slowly travels across the ocean ominously towards its target over a period of weeks or even months. The drone travels so slowly in order to avoid detection. But when it's nearby an enemy coastline, it rushes ahead at over 100 miles per hour to get close enough to detonate its nuclear bomb before it's detected. The bomb that the Poseidon drone carries is allegedly the most powerful nuclear device ever created, capable of unleashing a completely insane 200 megatons of explosive power, and all of it underwater. For reference as to why that's insane, the biggest bomb ever tested by humanity so far was the Tsar Bomba by the Soviet Union. That bomb destroyed every building in a 55-kilometer radius, caused third-degree burns 100 kilometers away, and shattered windows that were 900 kilometers away. It was detonated here in Novaya Zemlya and shattered windows all the way over here in northern Norway and Finland. The shockwave from the explosion circled the entire Earth 3 times, and despite all of that awesome power, it was only 50 megatons. The Poseidon bomb has 4 times that amount of power. Unleashing that amount of raw power underwater is allegedly enough to generate a 500-meter-high tsunami wave in the direction of an enemy's coastline. That wave would be so high that it's almost impossible to fully appreciate. So here is what the Empire State Building would look like right next to it. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami that devastated Indonesia only reached a maximum height of only 30 meters, and is over 16 times shorter than the Poseidon tsunami. What's even worse though, is the Poseidon nuclear bomb is apparently a cobalt bomb, specifically designed to unleash more radioactive fallout than a normal nuclear bomb. This not only makes the wave freakishly huge, but also intensely radioactively contaminated.
This will happen. My dream, my God dream that I had was a God dream, and it shook me and scared me bad. But it was so ludicrous, just so astronomically, it just sounded impossible. Now, it's not even it's impossible. It's the threats are already flying. I have for the longest time said, even before we now entered into a weak state, at one point the presidential seat would become strong. We have been, at least according to the international community and even the thoughts of Americans, this administration is the weakest administration that we have ever seen. Nobody is taking them serious other than when it comes to them wanting to crack down and impose mandates on. That might be a little different. Once this happens, you're going to see the U.S., along with ally support, take out the Iranian regime and another Middle Eastern regime, which I believe is either going to be Turkey or Syria. God specifically spoke one day as I was walking down the hallway, because I was off in La La Land somewhere else believing a different thought. God said Iran, but he didn't give me the other one. I don't know why. Herein, you're either going to see at this point in time the West Coast quake, or it's aligning itself with the attack, and I believe it aligns with the attack. Russia strikes the United States, the UK, and France via nuclear attack. I have said these are the three ribs. God spoke them to me here recently, about 2 months ago. You know what we decided to do? When all the nuclear threats are being thrown around, the US, the UK, and France pulled out their nuclear submarines and parked them all in Scotland. Indescribable events envelop the world after this day. This is the beginning of sorrows. The church is lost, feverishly seeking God, and only those who truly hear from the throne. Keep this video. Refer to it as needed. These events are going to happen, as I said, and as the other people that I've included here said as well. I'll give you, in the next video, a status on my health. I need your prayers. Desperately. Look for more to come. Until next time, take care and God bless.